Hey guys, picture this scene. I'm riding my motorcycle, I'm winding down this mountain, and I see 3 dogs run out in front. And one of the dogs has what's left of a leash and a collar on it. And I started thinking, that's how I was living before, with being chained to the house debt, being chained to all the super high expenses to keep my business going that wasn't making a whole ton more over and above what it cost to live in that big fancy house I was living in with the 3-car garage and the private property. I saw that dog with the leash that had broken free from its master, and that's how I felt today as I'm coming down from the Japanese shrine. I'm free of that, what was holding me back from climbing higher and from finding my full potential. And maybe that's you today.
Hey, Vern.
Hey guys, Vern Danke. Today we're gonna go a little bit deeper than the normal travel vlog, going down to the swimming hole or standing at the waterfalls. This is gonna be a little bit deeper, so let's go. So it's been a real crazy month to say the least. And one of the things that I ended up doing was going to the gravesite of my friend that had passed away, Tom Clark, and he had passed shortly after the month of December of 2021, so it was last year. And I hadn't gone to a cemetery, and so I did that yesterday, and it was just weird to see his name on one of the Philippine grave sites in the public cemetery. So the top 4th row on the left are all COVID suspect, as was my friend. Hey Tommy, got you a candle. That was really shocking and something that I had to kind of come to terms with, and I started thinking about it, and I thought, you know, how much time do we have left? How much time do you have left? How much time do I have left? I walked down the cemetery and I saw the years of the people that had passed, and I'm telling you, there must have been 5 people that were like 1 year younger than I was, and I looked at their birth date and I'm like, wow, you know? And there were people that were quite a bit younger that were in the cemeteries. And it really kind of struck a chord with me. It's like, you know, we got to take life seriously with what we have, because there is no time frame that's promised to anybody. My friend Tom that passed away, he sent me a message that said, I'm really looking forward to the end of this year because there's going to be a lot of changes coming. It's like he could sense something was happening. Something was going to come his direction. And unfortunately, it was his demise. He didn't know what was coming, but he sensed something was coming. And when is your demise? When's my demise? We don't know. But we got to live life with a little bit of urgency. But look at that view, you guys. I'm up here today at the Japanese shrine. And if you look, you can see the ocean. You can see the whole bay in front of Negros Island here. And you can see all the way over to Cebu. And the reason the Japanese chose this area was so that they could see any ships that were coming in to attack. Very strategic location. I started thinking about that urgency, and I started thinking about when I wanted to come to the Philippines and how many excuses I would talk myself out of about this or that, whether it was financially or stability or things I had no control over. I gave myself a myriad of reasons why I shouldn't go, why I couldn't come here and experience this life and see this. And I read a lot of your guys' comments, and I see the same thing. I see myself in a lot of those comments. People are like, how do you travel? How do you deal with the medical issues? How do you do anything? You know, and I start thinking back to when I was a kid. I had a 69 Thunderbird. I just got out of high school, and the back tires were so bald that the steel cords were showing all the way around the tire. And I remember just doing 90 miles an hour with those tires and doing 4-hour drives with those tires to see my family. And I didn't think about it. I just did it. You just do it, you know? And how do you do anything in life if there's risk. You take the risk. Now, a lot of people here, they don't have the money to get a lot of the medical care. They don't have a lot of the savings. If something goes wrong, they don't have it. They come to terms with life as it is. And they live by the phrase, give me this day my daily bread. They live day to day. And if they can get the help, then they survive another day. If they don't, well, then they're going home. They're going home to be with the Lord or wherever they think that is. And so I tell you this because you're never going to find a point where you have enough money to be financially secure. You're never going to have a medical system that's going to give you enough security that you're going to feel safe and secure. You're never going to find this nirvana. It doesn't exist. And I feel the people here that live with the reality of we're just going to go through the day and whatever we get, we get. I think there has to be a middle ground to that. I'm not too much of an extremist to believe one way or the other way, but if we can find a happy medium and come to the conclusion that that's really where the life is at, then I think anything's possible. You can live anywhere. But if we're the type that has to have X amount of dollars, we have to have this hospital within 50 meters of our house, then we're going to live a really limited life. And that's what we're going to settle for. And I know where I lived, there was a lot that I was disappointed with. I was disappointed with not knowing my neighbors. I was disappointed with people working all the time and not having time for their friends, their family, including myself. I didn't make that a priority. It took so much energy just to provide what I thought I needed to have. And that was a lot at the time. And I didn't need half of that stuff that I had. I just didn't. And I was working so hard for it. And as a conclusion, I didn't have time for the things that were really important, the people in my life. If you're the kind of person that just has nothing but excuses and reasons of why you can't experience life outside, then just stay home. Just stay home, because that's really what you're going to have for the remainder of your life, what you have now. If you can't push yourself to get beyond that, then just stay home and be content with what you have and try to find a way to smile each day and say, you know what, this is the best I'm ever going to let myself acceptably have. And now I need to make the best of it. So, it's kind of weird thinking about it like that, but if a guy's got nothing but excuses, then I guess you've already decided what your result is going to be. But if you've got possibility and you allow yourself to be a little bit more flexible, you can live abroad. You can come here, you can start a business. If you want to live abroad, you could do it. I know plenty of guys that came here, they started restaurants, they started ice cream stores, they started resorts, and they were able to help a family pull out of poverty, and they were able to provide a happy life for them with children and potential. And so you can have excuses, or you can just go forward on your bald tires. Where I'm at here was a stronghold for the Japanese. This was one of the last locations that the Japanese were on this island of Negros before the surrender, down in Zamboanganita. Now, what's real interesting is if you look straight ahead, I believe that's Cebulan, and the Americans landed on Cebulan when they first came ashore to the island. And I wonder if the Japanese could see that they were coming ashore. It would have been right around in here somewhere. Before I came to the Philippines, I had a lot of people try to talk me out of coming here. They're like, what are you going to do there? What are you going to blah, 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 blah. Just a bunch of excuses. Because when you grow up somewhere and you live somewhere, you're fed this script of how life has to be, what it's going to be like, how to do this, and then you're going to stay there and retire at 40 years of working someplace, and then you're going to have to save X amount of dollars, and then you're going to retire, and that's going to be it. And when you bring up something else other than the script that they're used to, they don't know how to react to that. And they come up with fear and a lot of reasons why you shouldn't do that, because they haven't had a chance to think outside that script. And if they have, all they were able to allow themselves to see are the fear factors or the scary things. They never got to go beyond that and actually take action and see what that's like. And so, I feel like I'm kind of talking to myself and talking to maybe somebody that needs to hear this. And the gist of this is basically go forwards. If you're unhappy, if you're not where you want to be in life, if you're not finding the community that you really need to find to feel joy and connection to, then go look somewhere else. Go over to Mexico, go over to South America, go over to the Philippines, go over to any other place that you can find what you're needing. Because I guarantee you, anything you want on this earth for a community is still attainable. But you just have to find what you need in a community to feel that you belong, that you can connect, that you have purpose. And the cool thing I like about here is no matter how old you are in the Philippines, you're not an inconvenience, you're an asset to the community, and you're allowed to have freedom to do whatever you want. There's nobody yelling at you, don't do this, you're gonna bust a hip, don't do this, you can't ride your motorcycle at 75. No, you ride your scooter till you're not able to ride your motor scooter anymore. You live your life, you just go for it. And that has to do with people here living day to day. They're just going day to day. So down below this, where the hillside's kind of caving in, is where the tunnels were. The Japanese would have their overlook. They were dug in to look out above the area here. I'm so thankful to have been here all these years, to have had this blessing of experiencing the Philippines, the Filipinos, this really crazy lifestyle of simple living. I don't really remember too many simple living places back home. Everything had to be so elaborate and fancy. And here it's okay to be simple. It's okay. You don't need to slave for 30 years to pay for a house here. If you just want to have something simple. You don't have all that pressure to be in debt for 2/3 of your life. So I think I came to the terms of basically working the whole part of my life if I had to. It doesn't bother me. I never had this fantasy of getting so much saved up and then stopping do nothing and retire and goof off. I don't know, I just never felt that. I always feel like I like working hard. I like doing something that challenges me every day. And that always seemed like a hugely important thing to do. I just see a lot of value in that. It's like saying, give me this day my daily sense of purpose, my daily sense of pride, my daily sense of belonging to something. And if I'm striving on something, I get that. If I'm just not pushing myself and I'm just existing, it's hard to feel that. It's hard to feel that. So maybe I spoke to somebody today that needs to hear these things. Maybe I'm just talking to myself. But in any event, I wish somebody would have told me some of these things and pushed me out of my comfort zone. I'm looking at this shrine right in front of me. It's got 3 sides. And the hope was that the 3 should never be at war again, the Japanese, the Americans, and the Philippines. That's it. I'm heading home, and I was just thinking about those thoughts today of my friends sitting in the cemetery and all the things that I've been dealing with this month, and how we just don't have any promise of what we've got in life for time. And if we decide that our excuses are all we're going to let ourselves have, instead of giving ourselves a chance to step out and live and have some quality of life, then that is our fate. There's no risk-free life. Everything has risk. But if you're okay with going backwards, if you have to, then why not? going to try to start a business here very shortly and see how that goes. And if it works, great. Maybe I'll start another business, and then another and another. And then maybe I'll just be here and start a family. You know, and that could be you. Why couldn't it be you? Why can't you drive on those crappy tires, doing 90 miles an hour, do all the crazy stuff that you did before, you know?
Hey, Vern.